a little about, you mentioned the spiritual side. Is meditation religious?
No, it doesn't have to be. It can be if you want it to be.
Okay.
I mean, we've taught priests, nuns, monks in the past who adhere strongly to their own beliefs. Mm-hmm. So, meditating doesn't mean you give up your beliefs. In fact, it can strengthen those beliefs. You become a more devoted Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, Jew, whatever, because essentially we don't want to empty the churches. We want to fill them, but we want to fill them with people who understand what they're doing and understand about spirituality and understand. So you can be a very religious person, but not necessarily spiritual. And you can be a very spiritual person without being religious. So spirituality is something unique to each and every one of us. It's our path. It's our divine expression. And what meditation does, and the purpose of meditation, again, is to raise our consciousness so that we move from the grossness to the subtleness to that refinement where we experience divinity, God, or the universe, whatever you want to call it, mm-hmm. every moment of the day. Wow. And we no longer feel separated. We feel at one with ourselves. And then, of course, we have that greater awareness of just feeling connected with everything around us. And that is such an amazing feeling. It's such an amazing feeling.
So you mentioned the heart and love. It sounds like being more the core of the meditation. So with the meditation, I guess I'm just processing a little bit this as we go. Not necessarily being religious, but we're talking about the spiritual aspect, and that is slightly different for everyone, correct?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
You mentioned 45 years of practicing meditation, correct?
Personally, yes.
Personally. Mm-hmm. How did you get introduced to meditation some 45 years ago?
It's a really convoluted story.
Okay.
But to sort of put it in a nutshell, I basically connected with the organization, with my guru who started this organization, Gururaj Ananda Yogi. He was in Cape Town. When I was a young man in my mid-teens, I became a travel agent. And I got the opportunity to fly to South Africa on one of these like excursions, learn the destination, which I was very excited about because I hadn't done a lot of traveling. And I flew to, we were only going to Kruger National Park and Johannesburg and Pretoria, the capital of South Africa. And there was a girl there and I that said, oh God, we've come all this way. We've got to see Cape Town and Durban. Mm-hmm. So we extended our stay and flew there. So we went to Durban first, then we flew to Cape Town. When I landed in Cape Town, I had this weird sensation. Like as the plane was landing, I was like pushed against a bubble. And it pushed so hard in my body. And I thought maybe it's the pressure of the aircraft or something. Anyway, it burst as we landed. And I absolutely loved Cape Town. I fell in love with it. And in fact, then I worked for a travel company that had branches in South Africa. And I so fell in love with this place. I was desperate to get back there. So I came home, had a wonderful time. It's an amazing city to go and visit. And this was the time of apartheid as well. Okay. So that was the shocking aspect of the country, but its beauty and its magnificence sort of overrid that. It's there and we had to deal with it. And only on my return, then I tried to apply for a transfer there. But my father got ill. My father had a heart attack, fell in the garden, had a heart attack. Ooh. And I was the only son. I had a sister. I was the only boy. And I thought, it's just not a good time for me to lead my parents. My dad's not well. Yeah, I felt, a sense of your parents look after you, you have that responsibility to look after them. So I stayed, but I discovered 3 or 4 months later that I was kilometers from Gururaj Ananda Yogi. And that attraction that was so strong manifested itself like 3 or 4 months later when I heard about this guru that was teaching this unique form of meditation. It was so life transforming, and, it all sounded a bit too good to be true, which when we talk about these things, they sound a little bit too good to be true, but they're not, they're real. It's something you can experience for yourself personally. So it all sort of connected then that, and coming together, I met my wife there. We had a bit of a tumultuous sort of time with family and relationship because she was quite a bit older than me. We got through that and we became a very solid couple. We were married for 43 years. Unfortunately, my wife passed away 20 months ago.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. But we created this amazing organization. We carried on from our gurus, creation of the organization to carry on teaching, people mainly in the West. That's how it all started for me. But it was just so incredible that I had that experience when the plane landed.
Yeah.
And it was sort of the connection between him and I, because I didn't know then that I would be his successor. I was 18, 19 years old. Mm-hmm. Then I started to learn to meditate. It so changed my life in 3 months that I wanted to be a teacher. So I'm like 20 years old now. I'm with my wife now, just meaning we had come together as a couple. And then I asked the organization, can I be a teacher? And they were like, oh my God, he's so young. Can he do this? But he's with a person that's more mature than him. So I think we'll allow it. But Jasmini and I, my wonderful, glorious wife, we ran the London Centre. We created this enormous group, in London in teaching. And then obviously Gururaj passed away in 1988. Okay. And he prepared me to sort of carry on the role. We spent a lot of time together. Just, scaling up, I suppose that's the word, isn't it? Scaling up or unfolding down or whatever you want to call it, because we talk mainly about unfoldment. And he passed away. I was still, obviously that was 35 years ago. So we then started carrying on with the organization, started building. Our first sort of international branch was in Denmark, and then it was Cyprus, and then we sort of grew from there. And now, we have Finland, Germany, Denmark, Greece, Cyprus, Spain, and soon to be in the US.
Very, very cool. I mean, is that growth, right? And then extending, and I'm assuming that technology, we kind of discussed in the green room, and technology has allowed you probably to extend a little bit farther. Faster and more so, and establish a footprint that you in the past talked about in the 80s might not have had.
I mean, our most powerful way of getting people is through recommendation.
Okay.
Because like me, I had this profound experience in 3 months. Mm-hmm. I wanted to tell the world about it. You can have this too. So mainly it's word of mouth. That is our biggest medium beyond advertising. But of course, we want to help people in other countries. So we focused internationally and, being extremely successful. We have physical buildings in Spain, in Cyprus, where we teach. It's been, and it's so wonderful to mix with other cultures, learn from those cultures, understand their weaknesses, because all cultures have certain weaknesses or certain, strengths, be able to help those people. I remember in 1984, I went to China. This was before many people had been there. And I was looking, thinking, oh God, they must be different to us. They must have less problems than us. They must have less securities than people in the West. No, they didn't. No. They didn't. People are the same all around the world, and there's certain things that perhaps we haven't grown up very well from, going back to cave times. Those insecurities, those instabilities that make our life so much harder, and they don't have to be there. They can be resolved. Then we have no longer conflicts, in our life, and everything is a lot more harmonious. And that is so, so beautiful. So beautiful. A wonderful experience.
No, it sounds, the fact that you get to visit those countries at such an early young age and experience those different cultures and to learn about those individuals and to realize that we all have similar problems, right? Insecurities. In a sense, you might want to say we're all broken in some way, shape, or form, or we haven't yet, fixed these things that we might perceive as being broken. When you, at 18, 19, as a young man, right? Because you're a man at that point, you're a young man. What were you in life that, and you said you had this bubble and you were drawn to this, but you as an individual, as a young man, what were you seeking that at that point in your life? As you said, we all had we all have our issues, right? What about you as a young man that made you open to that?
I struggled again with confidence, struggled a bit with what's it all about? Okay. How can I live a harmonious life where there's no conflicts, where I feel more confident, secure? So I suppose like most teenagers, when we go through that, when that role modeling from our parents, and obviously the brain grows and has greater self-awareness, then we start as teenagers questioning the world, which is perfect. We all go through that. That's a natural progression of the development of the brain, where we get through the prefrontal cortex, we've got greater self-awareness. So we start, what your parents told you and what happens out there is different. So how do I reason with that? So we all go through that, and that's fine. That's a way of finding ourselves, our path. Sometimes that gets, that can be damaging. It, depending if we've been brought up with rejection, with family difficulties, etc. That can be the basis of our experience of life, and then we suddenly realize. Probably like me at that age was, I'm sure life is more than this. I really am sure life was more than this. And, a blessing for me that I was guided to something. And again, I think if you're sincere, if you're a sincere, honest person, that guidance is always there. It's that divine finger pushing you down your path, and you will find something that's suitable for you at that time. Okay, you may grow out of that and move on to something else, or you may stay on that particular path all your life. I was lost. I definitely was lost. And in 3 months, I found myself, I got my mojo back. It so changed me. I was happier. I was smiling all the time. I'm quite a smiley person. I even find it difficult. If you ask me to smile for a camera, it feels very uncomfortable to me because I smile all the time, and that's like, you're asking me to smile. I smile all the time. This is a bit difficult. But yeah, those changes changed my life when I was a young man, and I thought, I'd found a wonderful person to be with, which was another huge blessing in my life. An absolute goddess on earth to be with. I was really punching, as they say, I was really punching above my weight. Yeah. But she was an amazing, amazing woman from Trinidad in the Caribbean who had come to live in the UK. And I was very blessed to meet her. So we have this sort of triangle. She came from Trinidad. Gururaj came from South Africa, and I came from England, and we all sort of met here. And it sort of progressed from there.
So at 18, 19 and finding this, so where was, I guess, what feedback did you get from your parents at that age? And what was their, I guess, thoughts about you finding yourself and finding this happiness in the 3 months and change?
My father, God rest his soul, was quite a joker. He was very jovial. And at that time, I started working from quite a young age. And when I came home from working in the evening, he used to say to me, right, go on, upstairs on your broomstick. You know, he was very joking about it and didn't really take it very seriously, you know. And then he realized when he saw the changes in me, my God, this is something actually quite powerful. This is something quite profound. So he changed his attitude.
Hi, I'm Mark Thomas, founder and CEO of Current Tech Solutions and Cyber Guardians. If you or someone you know could benefit from our cutting-edge IT and cybersecurity services, we'd love to help. Our expertise in securing your business with AI precision ensures that you're protected and empowered to thrive. Reach out to us today to learn how we can secure and elevate your business.